Welcome back to more Castlevania Circle of the Moon, where now it is time to take out Dracula and save the day for everybody involved. And while we were here, I did figure out what the Serpent and Pluto combination does, and you get to throw two sub-weapons like Hugh did in the boss fight against him. And I do have the... I do have an earlier version of the Visual Boy Advance emulator, so I can just show off what everything does. I do like this one. You have the experience point gain increased by 20%. That is actually one of my favorite ones, especially when you're in the later modes and you're not as strong. It's one of those things to just keep an eye on. And then, let's see, as far as the familiar goes, I also like the Thunderbird familiar, where it uses this. Except the problem is this thing doesn't home in on enemies. You kind of have to like guide it into the enemy. But it does do a lot of damage. And then another one I like is with the unicorn. And then you can like charge arrows with this thing. And that thing does offer some really strong arrows. I do like that one. And then all the explosive attacks are pretty much there. And what I do like about some of these particular weapons is that, I mean, the Thunderbird one isn't really all that useful, but I do like the Diana and Mandragora one, where you get the 3 petals. And then, of course, here's the other weapons. I will have to show off Mars and Black Dog. You just get this little rifle thing. Let's see, what else was there? With Jupiter, you get like this little orb thing with Unicorn. And then with Black Dog, it's a little different. It's this thing that will poison you, but you're also invulnerable to things. And it also will hurt enemies. I think there's that too. And then this one should be you get sent flag, or you end up getting knocked back, but then you do end up taking half damage with Jupiter and Thunderbird. So that one's interesting, but at the same time, some of these are kind of impractical. And then another example of that is this one with Unicorn, where you take half the damage, but you also do half the damage. So that's never any fun. And then same thing with this one, you do twice as much damage, but you also take twice as much damage. So it's one of those just work with what you got things. But right now, we're gonna enter the final showdown with Dracula. And I did get the last 2 off screen. And probably something I should have shown off, but oh well. And we get some cheesy dialogue between Dracula and Nathan. And I'm not really one for voice acting, but just for fun, let's just all imagine Dracula is voiced by Scruffy from Futurama. And that would sound like something like, "Even you must have darkness upon your soul." And then you have also things like that. And then one of my favorite quotes is "Oh wait, why aren't you doing this? Scheduling conflict?" And then he's like reading some porno magazine. But yeah, here with Dracula, this first form is jokingly easy in that really all you have to do is just avoid the bats. And then I'm also doing this kind of like the same way as in Super Castlevania 4, where I just let the boomerangs do the heavy lifting, and then just avoid the attacks. And Dracula's got to run away because he doesn't have his full power yet. And fortunately, we are able to free Morse. And he also does look a lot like Sean Connery, so use that voice if you want to. "Chase him, don't let him escape." Something like that. But either way, now we got some more cheesy dialogue, so all we gotta do is just do our job here. Let's see, for this I want to go with... thinking I might want to try Diana and the Unicorn, because I was experimenting a lot with this one, and I did find things like Diana and Unicorn to be somewhat useful. And then that also depends on what the thing is. Like, whenever Dracula does this attack, it's important to get Neptune and Cockatrice up, and the second form of Dracula is very tough, so it is important that you just stay on your toes with these attacks. And then he can do that. He can also do like this fire one, and then he can also do this poison one. And then, really, the poison one's not too hard to deal with. You just have to make sure you don't get caught off guard by it. And see, hopefully he'll do the fire one pretty soon. Yep, there it is. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get Diana and Unicorn up. And then just let those shells wail on him. And then you can also do a lot of chip damage, but it really does a good job of adding up. Which is one thing I do like about these attacks. Is that they do let you be very creative in how you want to kill things. Alright, see, I think this one's gonna be a poison one. Yeah, you know what, let's just use the Holy Sword some more. And then just whack these things accordingly. Although this one that's close to me is actually not being very friendly here. So let's see, what I want to do now when he goes to this second form of attacks is I want to get Neptune and Black Dog up. Okay, yeah, that's the right one. And the reason for that is whenever he does this charge attack, that will do a buttload of damage if it connects. So just make sure you use the Rock Wing and time it right. And whenever you don't see him come back, he's going to do this attack where he's going to have a bunch of eyeballs surrounding him. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a Holy Sword on him, just because it's kind of difficult to hit him. So I am going to focus more on just trying to get my shots in whenever I can, and focusing more on big shots and not so much as trying to be accurate with it. It's one of those, just if you're gonna hit him, you just better make sure it counts. You know, that's really about it. And unfortunately, one of the drawbacks with this emulator is that it's much more prone to slow down compared to the other one I was using earlier for the rest of the LP. But considering that I wanted to show off the text, and for some reason the new one didn't do that. Okay, you're gonna show up so I can kill you. And yeah, the Dracula eyeball form really isn't that easy. And you know what, we're also gonna go with the Rose Sword here. Yeah, I'm probably gonna platoon between these two just because... Okay, I only got one shot in, that's not fun. But I do want to platoon between these two because the Holy Sword does more damage, but if he's above me, then I want to use the Rose Sword to hit him. Just whenever you want to show up here. And then just like so. He does have a lot of HP, so this is not an easy fight by any stretch of the imagination, but it is a pretty good final boss fight in my opinion. And then, as far as this goes, the other final bosses in the other two Castlevania games for GBA really weren't this involved. Especially Aria of Sorrow, well, not really Aria of Sorrow, but Harmony of Dissonance was probably the most disappointing one in my opinion. But since I don't really want to give anything away yet, I'll probably do that later on. Let's see. Yeah, we're just going to continue to tear this guy apart. And really the Rose Sword and the Holy Sword are the way to go. And right when you see that, we have beaten Dracula, and that is the end of Castlevania Circle of the Moon. So yeah, now we teleport out of God knows where. This eclipse to hell or something? I have no idea. And then of course we get some more cheesy dialogue. And just for the hell of it, let's just do the voice one more time. Scruff is gonna die the way he lived. And since I just got done making a complete ass of myself, let's just watch the castle collapse and see the ending. Since this is a Castlevania game, the castle does have to collapse after all. But yeah, that is gonna be it for the first part of Castlevania Circle of the Moon. I'm going to be shooting the extra video pretty soon, and that's just basically me showing off all the extra modes and what you can and can't do. I'll show off the ending for Thief mode just because you get something a little bit different. And also I will show off just how much harder it is on Thief mode. It's kind of like you play it the same way as in Vampire Killer mode, but you really have to rely on items a lot more in that one. But I am getting a little bit ahead of myself here. Instead, we'll just enjoy more of the cheesy dialogue. Yeah, so that was pretty much the ending. And I really do like this credit sequence. It's a really nice little montage of everything that happened in the game. And then you also get some decent music on top of it. Let's see. So, for my final thoughts on the game, this was a very ambitious launch title for the GBA, and they did a very good job with it. I mean, there were some mistakes here and there, like with the with the castle design, and there were some annoyances with knockback and I guess some other issues with the difficulty curve. But overall, I feel like this game has a very nice difficulty curve. There's a steady increase, and then it just gets harder as the game goes on, even when you do get stronger. Which is the way it should be, in my opinion. And as for the bosses, I think this game features the best bosses. And Aria of Sorrow actually features very good bosses too. I mean, the game is a little short though compared to some of the other GBA games. Like, I was able to finish this in about 13 parts, and that was with a battle arena preparation video. And see, that's really no indictment on the game itself. That's just more just how this game goes. But then again, considering all the LPs I have that are like hour maybe games, I know I don't think I should really be complaining about the length of this game. They do offset that by having more modes. So that is something that is important to know. And the biggest thing I really do love about this game is that the game is lets you be very creative in how you want to work with what you have, and how you want to deal with the enemies, and how you want to progress through the castle. It also does keep you on your toes when it comes to revisiting areas and exploring new areas. And also, one thing I just learned is that you can kind of tell like where some of the hidden stuff is if you can see like this little crack in the wall where it's hidden. And that's just something to know. But yeah, that is the password. What we had to do is we had to put that on the character select screen, so we just had to name our character Fireball in order to play as Magician. So next part I'm going to show all that stuff off. So I'll just see you then.